And I think you might need to click yes, you accept. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. We are here today to share with you more about KGI's post-baccalaureate pre-med and pre-PA program. My name is Joon Kim. I'm the director of the post-bac programs at KGI. And we have with me Elba Munoz as the assistant director of the post-bac programs at KGI. And it's our absolute pleasure to be able to share with you what we get to do with the students who choose to attend KGI. So we do have a little PowerPoint here that I'm going to open up right now. I know we love to see things and very visual. So we'll start with just the title page. Post-bac programs is what we're going to cover. If there's any other questions or other programs you have questions about, please don't hesitate to ask. So what are the program goals? So any of you have done some preliminary research know that there are different types of post-bac programs. There's primarily two types, right? There's one that you need in order to take the prerequisites and science courses because you did not take them during your undergrad education. So that is called a career changer post-bac program. Our KGI's post-bac program is not a career changer. So if you are in need of a career changer post-bac program, this is where you can log off and grab a bite to eat. However, if you are looking for a post-bac program to enhance your academics, you are in the right place. So as you can see here, and I know automatically you've already read through the slide, it really is about creating opportunities. We here feel very strongly about the work we do as guiding and mentoring students. We do not place students into med school or PA programs. I know that that is a verbiage that maybe some of you have heard in other places, that their placement rate is such and such. See, to me, that makes it seem like students are objects that gets placed in different locations, and that's just simply not the case. So we do primarily focus on med and PA. However, we've had students go to other health professional graduate programs afterwards. So, and we'll share with you what some of those are. But for right now, I want to bring your attention to sort of the four primary ways that our academic enhancer post-bac program really supports students. And number one, that's a unique, rigorous science graduate curriculum. It's a hybridization of the sciences like biology, chemistry, and even a little bit of engineering mixed in with business. And that is something that is very novel. And for some of our students who've never taken business courses, it is a challenge. But it's something that we have personally heard from med school admission folks that they love that interdisciplinary approach to learning. Number two, we also have extracurricular activities. Yes, we are in a pandemic, but that does not mean our students are not involved. In fact, we're so proud of our students right now because they're still engaged more than ever doing virtual tutoring, virtual scribing. They're doing all kinds, they're doing the delivery service for the seniors in our community. So extracurricular activities is something that you really want to be able to demonstrate that you can do that while you're taking classes. You see, a lot of students think that you could only focus on your academics or you can focus on your extracurricular activities. And to think that they are mutually exclusive would be a mistake, because med schools and PA schools are always looking for students who can juggle the realities of life. That means doing school and doing everything else in between. So number three, we have highly personalized advising. And again, I think the proper word, we should maybe change the slide here in the future, Elba, to mentoring is our approach to working with our students. Our ratio right now is about what would you say, Elba? How many students do we have that are in our PPC and PPA programs?
I would say for each of us about 30 students each,
30 students.
Which is pretty good.
Yes, so Elba mentioned she was previously, prior to KGI, at Cal State University, Los Angeles. I was at USC, University of Southern California, and I remember when I was there, I was advising close to 600-700 students by myself. So to go from 600-700 students to about 30, right, ratio-wise, or even if, let's forget the ratio, total raw number of students is under 100, or let's say around 100, I think it's a great deal. And so to be able to work so closely with students is a really strong highlight of our program. And then that fourth last point is the strong collaborative and supportive sense of community. And we'll show you that. Instead of just telling you, we'll show it to you. So moving on to the next slide, here's a real quick overview of the numbers. I know students very often are concerned about numbers because they're thinking my GPA is not good enough. But remember, the whole reason why you're looking at an academic enhancer is because your academics are not where you want them to be. But what's important is how hard are you willing to work to get your grades to be where you want them to be. So this is just a real quick overview of the number of students in our program over the years. You'll see that that first row there with PPC and PPA. The PPA program, the first inaugural cohort was in 2018-19 academic year with 6 brave students who we had no record. But yet they looked at what was going on and they wanted to study at KGI. And sure enough, they came, they were able to do well their first year. And then you'll see from the second row that our students have the option to come back for a second year. You do not have to come back for a second year, but it is an option. So you can see there roughly, I say roughly, about 50% of the students choose to come back for that second year while they're applying to med school, PA school, and what have you. You'll also see that third row there, number of students change to industry. Now, some of you might say, you know, I have no desire whatsoever to go industry, and that's perfectly fine. Vast majority of our students have no interest in going to work for a pharma company, a biotech company, and so forth. They come to KGI with a clear focus of wanting to go on to med school or PA school. And then, like I said, there are some other smaller subset of students that want to go into the different health professional programs. But we do have these 5 students that realized being at KGI, studying what they were studying, which is the applied life sciences intersection of biology and business, that, you know, there are other ways to help people and use science, because that's frequently the response that we hear from students on why they want to go into medicine. They will give you the response that I want to help people and I just find the human body and science so fascinating. And you can see why that is not a comprehensive response to that important question. You'll see here all the numbers. I'm sure some of you have already looked very carefully at these numbers. And more importantly, you compared your own numbers to these numbers. Please remember, recall that intro to statistics course you took. These are just central tendencies. These are means and medians. What you're not seeing is the range. So the range for the GPA, lowest GPA is somewhere in the 2.6. The highest GPA is a 3.7. And then of course you can see where the mean and medians are. MCAT, we do not require an MCAT score for admission into our program, but if you have it, we will certainly consider it. And if you are someone who does not have an MCAT score right now, I would recommend not taking it for just admission purposes to postbac programs, because you have to remember, taking the MCAT is like a lifeline. You really want to be conservative with the number of times you take it. So with the MCAT, you can see we're right around the 500 mark. And if you don't have it, again, it's okay. We will look at the GRE. We will also consider other standardized exams. Those of you that are interested in the PPA program, so for you, the GRE is the exam. And again, if you have it, great, we will take it into consideration. However, if you do not have a GRE score, we will also consider other exams as well, particularly now with the pandemic. Getting a test date can be quite challenging. So we're very flexible and we will make it work. All right, moving on. KGI's curriculum, I touched upon it a little bit. Elba, would you like to share with them a little bit more about KGI's curriculum?
Absolutely. Thanks, June. So our curriculum is what we often describe as off-label use. I also will describe it as like a hybrid type. It's neither a full type of one subject, which is actually really cool in my opinion, because it's a hybrid. And so you might be learning about business and the sciences behind that, or you might be learning about pharmaceutical discovery and how to actually get or how a drug gets approved by the FDA. So that is actually really unique courses that I don't believe you can find anywhere else. Again, I don't have a science background, but again, our students are going to be able to explain to you, like, how does an FDA drug get approved? How does a vaccine work? And what's that process like? So it's really cool. I think it's really cool and exciting to learn about the other side of medicine, which is really interesting. So our students are going to be having a set of skills that is going to make them more noticeable on their application. We often refer to this as the X factor, because they're going to be having this extra set of skills that their counterparts who they are applying with will not have. And so they're often, our students, when they get to med school, they're holding leadership positions, they're managers at their student-run clinics. And that is because they also know how to best conduct themselves in these areas and are able to flex their leadership and professionalism. And you might think, is that all part of the classes that they take? Yes, because they have to work in teams, and they also have to work on projects together with different personalities. And if you ever worked on a project together, it can be very confusing, but our students learn how to lead by example and how to uplift and motivate others in their team to get the project done in a timely fashion. I mean, if you ever have a chance to watch some of our students' presentations, I encourage you. I believe they're all public on our website. And you can see them. They look like they could do TED Talks like, tomorrow. And so this is really exciting stuff. So again, June, should I show them the curriculum? Would that be appropriate here? Oh, there it is. Thank you. You're ahead of me always. So these are some of the popular courses that our students take. So molecular biotech. This is a course that, again, I don't have all the specifics of it. I'd never taken this class before, but you can see these are courses that, again, are very off-label use, are very unique and interesting for a lot of our students as well. One popular course is the ALS, where is it here? I don't see it here.
It's not here because it's it's a requirement. So
got it.
Make a required course popular, although I guess that's just semantics.
Absolutely. I was looking for the ALS 320, which is a super popular course. It's like the rite of passage that everybody has to take together and learn how to work together in a project. So it's very realistic in the sense that they will take an actual situation or problem in the biotech company and then bring it into the classroom. And our faculty member will actually work with them and kind of guide them on what to do, but they're pretty much having to just create and solve this problem. So the students are broken up into different groups and they learn how to collaborate with each other, and each team will have their own project management and just figure out how to work together to solve it. And sometimes they have to do this in 8 weeks, if not 11 weeks, and then they do a public presentation. So that's a very popular course that our students take. And so the pharmaceutical development, again, kind of just goes through the details of understanding, like, how does this actually work? How do you actually create a medication? How does that work? And how does it get, marketed and into the, how does it happen, right? How do you market this? How do you explain the side effects? So I've seen presentations where students have to do like a public service announcement and try to help explain. And you've seen the commercials, right? I hope you all seen commercials before, but you get to see like, side effects may create, et cetera, et cetera. So they actually learn how to do that as well too. Thanks,
so here's another, thank you, Elba. Here's another way to think about it, everyone. I know that students understand you need to improve your GPA, right? Everyone who's here probably can use a boost on their GPA, but GPA is just one of many, many factors that admission committees are looking for. You have to understand they're only interested in the GPA because it reveals something that they really care about. So the GPA is not something that they are interested in of itself, but for the inferences that they can draw from it. And that is an individual going to be successful in medical school? Are they going to be successful in PA school? Because a higher GPA conveys a higher degree of confidence, and it makes the committee feel a little bit more comfortable that that applicant's going to do well. If an applicant has a 2.4 GPA, that bodes a lot of skepticism and concern that that individual is going to be able to do well. So again, this is where when you're thinking about how are you going to improve your candidacy for admission into fill in the blank, med school, pharmacy school, dental school, it really is, yes, you are going to want to improve your GPA, but it's not just simply improving your GPA. If it's just purely about GPA improvement, you heard it here, you can go anywhere, take classes, and you will improve your GPA, assuming you get better grades, right? So if you're a student who's looking to improve upon your GPA, you really could go anywhere to improve just your GPA. And so this is where you'll get to see the many different ways that what we do at KGI is so much more and going above and beyond just getting better GPA. All right, so let me advance to the next slide here. We had previously mentioned when we had a quick glance at the demographics and the numbers that you have the option to continue in the second year to earn a master's degree. So here's two alums that were going through our program. But the other thing I wanted to highlight is you don't have to, because again, some students will think that they have to come back, or if they do, that increases their chances. That's not necessarily true. So Ronald Castillo, he joined us for 1 year. Taylor Brunson stayed for 2 years. So is there a correlation? There's a correlation, but is it directly leading to the successful matriculation because you did a master's? Not necessarily. So let's think of it this way. How many years does a typical person spend in undergrad? This is where you should be holding up 4 fingers or typing in somewhere or mouthing 4 years. Or if you're like me, 5 years. I was a super senior when I graduated from undergrad, and so I stayed for 5 years. That's right, Jessica, 4 to 5 years. If you do 4 to 5 years and your GPA is can you really convince the minds of the admission committee members that you did 1 year of great work, that they're supposed to somehow forget 4 to 5 years of your previous performance? I think you all would agree that that's probably not realistic. So this is where some of our students who come in with slightly, the range that I shared with you earlier, if they're on the higher end, they're the ones who are more likely and can afford to just forego that second year, come for 1 year, and that's it. On the flip side, if you're a student who's on the lower end of that range, let's just say that 2.6, 2.7 student, then you're probably going to need 2 years. Now, hopefully that makes sense to all of you, that the further you are away from that target, the longer you're going to need to work on that. So with all of that said, I just hope that all of you are thinking much more holistically. I know you hear that word all the time when it comes to admissions, but it is true. It is so much more than just grades. It's basically, and what we like to refer to, and the analogy that we use is potluck party. Think of med school, PA schools as potluck parties. They're looking to see what you're bringing, what each person is bringing to their party. If all you're bringing to that party is your GPA, your test score, your shadowing, your research experience, your trip to Central America over the summer, and medical scribing or EMT, you're just going to be a blur and just be like everybody else. And it's going to be very difficult for the admission committee to differentiate why they should select one candidate over another. So hopefully that gives you yet another way to think about it. A 1 year certificate or a 2 year master's. And at KGI, we're very fortunate that we get to have both. And so here what we have is the different career paths that our students took. So Elba, you want to share with them some of the different outcomes from our alums?
Absolutely. Thank you. I just wanted to add one more thing back to your previous slide. If you go to a UC or the CSU, I'm not sure where any of you are located, but I can tell you that some students have to do a 3-year master's. So that's something to also consider, and that might be on top of doing a post-bac. So I had to do a post-bac, not for pre-health, but it did take me additional 3 years to do my master's, and that was at a CSU. And I've heard other UCs have to do like 2 years plus you do a post-bac if you need it too. So just kind of keep that in mind. So it'd be a 1-year post-bac and then a 2-year master's, and that's including the post-bac year, because I like to bring that up because students think like, oh, well, it's just like maybe another year, so I'll just stay and get the master's. And I think that's a very great option for our students. So in going to talk about the graduate career path, so our students will choose to go into medicine, and that we just say medicine, and that means medical school, PA school. We do have lately some students who've gone into podiatry, dentistry. In our current cohort, we have a pre-optometry student, and then we have 2 pre-vet students as well too. And we've had a previous alum get into USC School of Pharmacy, so that is our first pre-pharm student. But other students decide to go on and get their master's in public health before they decide to apply to medical school, or they're doing their dual degree program in medical school as well. So that is another option. And sometimes students decide, you know what, I want to help people, but I want to actually be on the research end. And so they'll do a PhD, or they'll often, we do have a couple of students who we say cross over to industry, and they decide to work for a biotech company, and they're very successful. And I mean, the starting salaries are really, really exciting. And so it's kind of like close to 6 figures. So, and that's just with a master's degree. And that's because of the amount of experience that you're able to gain at KGI with an internship and being on a team master's project that kind of simulates a real life work scenario in working in a biotech company. So that is the experience that our students are able to offer companies. And so, I mean, Joon, you have a great story about one alum of ours who decided, or you can go ahead and share the story because you work with them. Go ahead.
Well, that was just Elba's nice way of saying I'm old, and I've been at KGI for a very long time. But thank you, Elba. Yes, there is a student. We'll call him Steve. So Steve, he came to KGI. He was a little concerned because he was in his late 20s, and he felt that time was passing by, and it was all or nothing. And he felt a lot of time pressure. Maybe that's something that those of you who are here or watching this can relate to, that you feel like, it took me long to graduate from undergrad, or, my parents, or whatever might be going on. You have this sense of urgency within you. But I think we can all agree that while timing is important, it's also important, if not more important, that to make sure that the timing is right. So put it another way, are you someone who would rather apply early as possible? And if you need to reapply, and you will keep reapplying? Or are you an individual who's going to wait and wait until when you apply, you're going to get in? So there's different ways of obviously approaching that, and there's pros and cons to everything. But, Steve, he came to KGI. He did 1-year certificate. He wanted to continue on for the 2nd year. He worked on a TMP, which is a team master's project. That is a special course. I mean, it's more like an internship / course where students are assigned to a team to work on a project for a company. So he worked for, I believe it was Amgen. It was either Amgen or Pfizer. Worked on that project for 1 year. And remember, there's a faculty advisor on that team, and there's also a corporate liaison from that company. And so when he was on that team, the corporate liaison took notice of his great work, his work ethic, and just really, liked working with him. Sure enough, at the end of that project, Steve was offered a job to work for the company, and the starting salary was $85,000. And this was almost 6 years ago. So you can count for the inflation. And again, I was very impressed. And more importantly, he came into my office super excited, but also experiencing some little turmoil because of this important decision he needed to make. And you guys can maybe relate or imagine what might be going through his mind. On one hand, you have this awesome opportunity, and on the other is like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. I need to start med school. Well, spoiler alert, he decided to accept the job. So he went to go work for Amgen for 2 years. He says, his words, not mine, he paid off a lot of student debt, not all of it, but a good chunk of it. And then he told his supervisor that he just needed to go to med school. And so he applied, he got in. He is now, I believe he's a 4th year, or he's in his 1st year of residency. But he is not, an extreme outlier. There's many of our students who decide to pivot and pursue a different career route. In Steve's case, he decided to go into medical school and become a physician, but we also have students who completely changed their mind. And that is one of the most unique advantages that we have with our program. Our program is great because if you come and you want to go to med school and you get into med school, guess what? You achieved your goal. But what happens if you're that in the minority where you did apply, you were unsuccessful, or maybe you tried again and you were unsuccessful? Then what are your options? Well, if you go to a traditional program, you need to ask yourself, where would I be after completing that program? How better off, or what difference would it make on my life other than the fact that I have more pages of school transcripts? So for our students, they have a concrete set of skills and expertise. And so if the med school, PA school, or what have you doesn't work out, or actually more accurately, they voluntarily choose to change their mind, they have that option. So it's a win-win situation. They go on to the school of their choice, or they go on to the career of their choice. And so that is something pretty unique. All right, anything else, Elba, about that?
No, that was a great story. I love every time you tell that story because it's incredible.
Yeah, what I love about it is it brings back my own memories. So I'll share a little bit. I hope I won't stay here too long, but let me share a little bit. So, I was pre-med, a long time ago. I was pre-med. I did my undergrad at UCLA. Some of you might have heard of it. It's a big, ginormous school. And it just, I didn't understand why I was pre-med. All I knew was I was pre-med. And it's just, had I known about KGI, or actually, KGI didn't even exist when I was in college, but if KGI existed and I knew about this path of using science to help people, to work as a team. I love working in team, but I'm also competitive. And some of you might be able to relate. Competition drives you to do better. These are all things that really capture KGI and a career in industry, not to mention you will be compensated very well. And who doesn't want to be compensated well? So I love the fact that, students are able to hedge their bets, if you will, improve their chances of gaining acceptance to the school of their choice afterwards, or go get a job afterwards. All right, so let's move on here. We have pictures coming up because I know pictures are always nice. So let's see, oops, back up. Okay, so community is real big at KGI. It's big for obvious reasons. It is part of our DNA. It is about teamwork and collaboration, but specifically speaking to our post-bac program. Any of you guys have had a less than friendly pre-med experience? Anybody? I mean, those of you that are here, watching this presentation, spending time together. Anybody at an undergrad institution where to be pre-med or pre-PA or anything of that sort, it's not a very pleasant experience. It's because people are either ultra competitive and everyone is just out for themselves, and there's really a lack of community in that environment. And so here at KGI, we really worked hard to develop a sense of community. And so you'll see here, these pictures. These are not paid actors. These are not photoshopped individuals. These are real former students who spent a lot of time together. So in that top left picture there, this is in Oakland. We were visiting Northern California, the different med schools and PA programs. And we did stay at a nice, what hotel was, I think that was a Hilton, wasn't it? I mean, we can't stay at a Ritz-Carlton or anything like that, but we're also not staying at Motel 6. So the students are hanging out with each other. You can see Pier 39, those are our PPA students. We were visiting PA programs up in Northern California. Upper right-hand corner, you see everyone getting ready to go to our first campus visit that morning. Don't ask me which campus we were visiting unless Elba knows. You have such a great memory, but they're grabbing the hotel breakfast, complimentary breakfast food. And then the bottom right corner is, what was that? Elba, do you remember what event that was that we had food in class?
Yes, I believe that was our Friendsgiving, because I see Maxine, she's got the antler ears. That was one of our TAs that's just always would just dress up very festively, especially when we had potlucks, just to kind of like, that's just personality, right? We're just having a lot of fun. So we were having a potluck in the back. So you could see people like congregating in the back behind some of our students, and they were grabbing food. And that's just what we do. Like, just, we do spend a lot of time together over good food. You didn't see any pizza there, which oftentimes folks are wondering, like, where's the pizza? It's not like undergrad. We do actually have a really good time spending time eating and enjoying meals together. You can see students, I don't think they had started the bonfire yet, but the hotel we stayed at in NorCal, where I see Nina Carr there, one of our superstars, in the corner there. We were in NorCal. We were about to visit, I think it was like UC Davis, if I remember correctly. And so we had just gotten into our hotel, and so students were just kind of relaxing before we call it in for a night, and then we're heading off to UC Davis. So the top right corner, I think we were about to visit Midwestern. So we were in the hotel on our way to Midwestern in Arizona. And then I don't remember the Pier 39. I don't think I was able to attend that one.
Yep.
Those were the PPA students.
You have an excellent memory. You're absolutely right. That was the Friendsgiving. So yeah, so there's a really strong supportive culture at KGI where, others are not your competition. There are your allies, and everyone's working together. So that's really, really neat. So the next picture we have here is a few more pictures. It is true. You eat together, you stay together. So more food. The picture on the left is Blythe, California. That's usually where we stop on our trip out to Arizona. So, and we have a few more pictures. I think we have like 3 more slides left, and then we'll spend the rest of our time together answering any of your questions. So here's the school trips for PPC. For those of you that are interested in going on to medical school, I have to tell you, there are more pictures, but I just couldn't fit them into the one slide. They would just be a really small thumbnail of a picture. So, but this is a sampling of the different places that we have visited. And one thing you'll notice is the attire. When we travel, we are representing not only ourselves, but our program and our school. And this is the reputation that we have. You have to, understand that the alums who go on sort of blaze the trail for everyone that follows after. And we've been very fortunate where that very first cohort of PPC back in 2011 have done such a remarkable job that many schools have been so impressed, and they recognize when they get an application from one of our postbac students that means a lot. All right, so moving on to the next picture. This is the PPA, for those of you that are interested in PA programs. Same thing, we have so many other pictures I just can't fit in here, just not enough room. But here's a little sampling of the different PA programs that we were able to visit pre-COVID, because obviously last year and this year, we are unable to travel because of the restrictions, and but that doesn't mean we just throw our hands up in the air and give up. It's that we have to do things virtually. So our students have been able to meet with these PA program directors or the med school, directors or deans. So we have to find a way to support our students be successful. The way Elba and I, we like to describe it is, we will do everything legally possible to help the student's success. Here's a few alums. We have so many more alums. I believe we are right around the 250 mark in terms of the number of alumni from our combined post-bac programs. Here's just a few of them. I happen to have pictures on my hard drive. You got Christian out in Illinois. You got RJ, who's in Arizona. You got Caitlin in Michigan. Courtney is over there in Minnesota. Brr, that's cold. But she, I think, is from North Dakota, so she's used to that. You got Courtney. Actually, Courtney's back on the West Coast. So Courtney went to Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth, and she came back to do her residency at LA County USC. So she is back with us on the West Coast. And then last but not least, we got Jabri, who's in his first year or second year. The second year. Wow, time flies. So Jabri's over there at UNLV. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask by looking at the chat, but I'm going to trust my awesome colleague Courtney to do that. I can't multitask. Sorry, you guys. Next slide is, this is just a fun last two slides. Before, right? Before, like going to the optometrist's office, and after. Before and after. What's the difference, everyone? Anybody see the difference? Before is a number 1, number 2. So it's not an MCAT question. It's not meant to stump you. It was just a fun way to show and capture the fun spirit of our students. Yes, we were all suited up, but after we took the official photo, we had a great time. Silly faces, silly poses and moves. I mean, we just had a really great time. And how could you not? I mean, you're spending hours and hours together, not to mention you're rooming it up with others in the hotel. And so that's how we do post-bac at KGI. So hopefully that gives a really good sense of the program, everything about the classes, the academics, the non-academics, and so forth. And I see that we have about, what is this, 19 minutes or so, which is really good because I want to save enough time for all of your questions. Does anyone have any questions? You can type it in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up. And if you do, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Now no one's going to ask a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Jessica. We can hear you very good, very well. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm currently in my last year at CSUN. I'm a pre-med major, majoring biology right now. And as many of the students here, my GPA isn't as competitive. That's why I'm looking into post-bac programs. I heard of this program through the AMC website. So, I started digging in, looking at information, talking to Diana, the admission representatives, and me and Diana have been, talking to each other about the admission process, the application and whatnot. I do have a few questions in regards to the PPC program. I wanted to know if there is a certain amount of seats you have in the program, if you provide any, financial assistance, because I do recall Diana and one of the financial aid representatives saying how we'll be taking out private loans or public loans, but I just wanted to know if there's any additional financial assistance that the PPC can also give to the students.
Okay, that's a great question. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Courtney, are you pretty versed in the financial aid aspect? All I know is that it's expensive and students need money to pay for it, is the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, there are some external scholarships that you can apply for, and every student's situation is going to be a little bit different in terms of federal financial aid. But you're right that postbacks are not considered a graduate degree, so most students will have used the money awarded to them in their undergrad in terms of federal aid. So it's kind of a case by case basis. I would encourage you to check out our financial aid tab. I'll put it in the chat so that you could check out different ways to fund your degree. You could also set a one-on-one appointment with our financial aid counselor. She's really great, and she could discuss those different options with you and routes you can take. So hopefully that will help answer your question a little bit more in depth.
Thanks, Courtney. I just remembered one thing, because it's what you said, Courtney. When you do a certificate, even though it's graduate courses, it's still considered undergraduate. So for the purposes of gaining access to more financial aid, which mostly is more loans, although like Courtney mentioned, there are some scholarships available for our master's level students. So that's, in fact, it's a great option for students who, are looking for that financial assistance to be able to attend school. So do the master's or apply to the master's program as opposed to just a certificate. Does that make sense? If you apply to the master's degree program, you're going to have access to more financial aid than compared to just doing a certificate. Thanks, Courtney, for putting the link. Appreciate it. And thanks, Jessica, for your question. CSUN, did you ever work with Dr. Terry Richardson at CSUN?
Yes, she is my pre-med advisor, and she was actually the one that told me to do a post-bac or Caribbean med school.
Yep, she's great. I have a lot of respect for her. She'll tell it to you like it is. And so that's another thing that all of you really should take full advantage, is your advisor that's available at your undergrad institution. Now, the reality, unfortunately, is that some schools, there's like one person, kind of like at CSUN, that's going to be supporting so many students. But that does not mean you can't get the assistance, does it? It means that you just got to be a little bit more proactive. So really good to know, Jessica, that you at least have met with her and you are working with her. Anybody else? Would love to know where everybody's also from. I see we have a Maritza. We had a Maritza before, back in 2015. And Maritza, are you available? Can you share a little bit about yourself and ask a question if you have one?
Sure. My name's Maritza. I'm a fourth year student at Sonoma State in the nursing program. I'm kind of just exploring my options after I graduate this semester and trying to get a feel for what I want to do after nursing. I've always wanted to go to graduate school. I just not entirely sure where I'm going, so just kind of going to a bunch of information sessions and getting to hear
Got it.
programs is where I'm at.
Thank you, Maritza. And you said San Diego State, huh? It's the campus with the largest.
Sonoma State.
Sonoma State. Okay, because I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, is that San Diego? No, okay, Sonoma State. So that's why you guys have grass there. And in Southern California, we have concrete. So beautiful campus. Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yeah, Andrea.
So my name is Andrea. I'm a fourth year at UC Riverside, and I'm pre-PA, so I'm really interested in the PPA program. I know that you distinguished that it's not like a career changer post-bac program, but I am missing a few prereqs. Is that a requirement to apply, or is it possibility to possibly do them like during the summer and then continue? Because I really am interested in your master's program. So to do the 2 years and to be able to do like my prereqs that I'm missing during the summer, is that a possibility?
It is absolutely a possibility. Not only is it a possibility, I forgot to mention that. I mean, the PPA program. So here's a little, quick fun fact. PA admission has more prerequisites than med school. Of course, I'm sure Andrea already knew that. I mean, she's like, you know what? I'm going to apply to PA school, but oh my gosh, I'm missing some classes. Can I qualify? Well, at KGI, our PPA students are able to take human physiology, human anatomy, and microbiology. So those are courses that are part of your post-bac program, and those are offered in the summer, and that's all included as part of the program. So that's a great question. Yes, you can do all that. The other benefit of PPA program is that we have partnered with an organization where our students can get up to 1,000 clinical hours. Because as you know, Andrea, when you're applying through CASPA, I mean, you need those healthcare hours. Unlike med school, where you can be in the hundreds, with many of these PA programs, they're looking for 500, 1,000, you know, so that's why for our program, we made sure that there's a mechanism built in to allow our students to accumulate the hours that they need. Very good. Thank you. UC Riverside. So that's Charlie and Amber. Healthcare, it's the HPAC, right? Health Profession Advising Center. And they have a really effective use of their peer advisors. So very good. Anybody else? You're welcome, Andrea. So this is where either Andrea, Maritza, and Jessica are thinking to themselves, I already asked a question. Do I hold on to my second question and let the other people ask, or what should I do is probably what's going on. And then the other people who have not is, oh, I'm so nervous. Do I unmute myself and speak up? Is that a Scribe America logo there, Erica? Or is this a logo of some kind? I think I've seen it before, but not sure. It looks like the tip of a pen, but there's a little red star in it. We have 10 minutes. If you could ask even a general advising question. It doesn't even have to be KGI related.
Hi, it's Jessica again. I just have a few questions. I wanted to ask if there are other resources you provide, your students with. I understand that you did touch base on going or visiting different schools and everything, but I just wanted to see what other resources you provide to your students, such as, are there any academic tutorings? Will you provide your students with MCAT prep, any mock interviews, academic advisor to help you with the med school application,
Sure.
clinical service courses and all that?
Wow, Jessica, all these other students are going to think that you work for KGI. You just set up all these beautiful questions for us to address. So it is true, we have lots of other things that we haven't even touched upon. And so for you to ask about it, thank you. So in terms of support, the support is not like your typical undergrad experience where once you graduate, good luck is usually what you get, or you get passed off to the Career Center or the Alumni Center. For us, it's not like that at all. I mean, our students are continuously in communication with us. We provide advising all the time. I mean, on some occasions, we will do group advising if that works out. I mean, students are the ones that will get together with their friends and say, 3 of us have the same question and dilemma. Can we set up an advising appointment with you? But our students have access to our calendar. And so we are very accessible to our students to assist them with the application process. And in fact, Elba, why don't you tell them about ALS 398, pre-professional or pre-medicine professional development course that we co-teach?
Yes, that's one of my favorite classes that, at least, I mean, I guess I'm biased, right? Because Judy and I teach that class and we get to spend a lot of time with our students. And the other thing too, we didn't mention is that Judy and I do not have any research responsibilities. So we are full-time dedicated staff, and we're like a hybrid. We're staff and faculty for our post-bac program. So we get to spend a lot of time with our students traveling, teaching the class. And we do so even in the virtual setting as well too. So students have my Zoom ID and they can pop in whenever they see me online. It's just like if they would stop by my office. So the 398 course that June's talking about is where we actually, because we're in the spring, I'm going to start off with spring and then June can talk about the fall. So we're covering all the components that you would need necessary before you were to apply. So we had just wrapped up general, like one-on-one type preparation for their mock interview that they had already. They had that back in December, but they wanted to just kind of still debrief and go over that as well. Next week, we're covering how to prepare for their mock MMI. So that's the multiple mini interviews. It's like the speed dating format. We're doing it in the virtual setting because a lot of the health profession schools have just had to adapt and moved everything online. So we're going to do a mini MMI virtually and also do a panel interview, because that's what has been occurring. So we try to mirror what the health professionals are doing so our students can also be prepared for that. A few weeks prior, we had some alumni guests, so students that had just finished our program and they're either working or in the application cycle. And that's just a way for our students to connect with them. And then we've had some students who were a few years removed from KGI in the sense that they're like second or third years of medical school. But prior to that, we were covering how to formulate your extracurricular activities, how to create your personal statement draft. In fact, they had to work on that during the winter break because they have 5 weeks off. So Jude and I were meeting with students, making sure their personal statements were coming along, and it's very personalized. We do it together in class, and then we do one-on-one. So this is why we get to spend a lot of time with our students. And in fact, our final exam, right, for this spring semester is putting everything together on your CAS, your centralized application system, and just kind of starting to work on that. So we're going to be there coaching you and guiding you. This is what you should fill out. We used to, because back to pre-COVID, everybody just had their laptop, but now we're all virtual, so everyone's going to be able to do that as well too. So we will be guiding you and coaching you along the way. And I like June's analogy of us being tour guides and saying like, wait, don't go there, go this way. This is where you can get the best souvenirs. So we definitely will be doing that. And sometimes our students decide not to apply and kind of will wait a couple of years, and we will still, of course, support them as well. And the other thing too is that you're probably wondering is, do you offer committee letters? We do not. So June and I, because we get to know our students very well, and we're such a small school like KGI, we get to know them so well that we each write our own individual letters. And in fact, I always joke with June and say, like, I don't want anybody to steal my thunder when you get into med school or PA, and that was a joke. But the point being is we're going to do everything in our power legally to help support you and guide you along that process. June, you want to talk a little bit about the fall semester? We have a few more minutes.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of breeze through, and by no means am I diminishing the importance and the significance of these different aspects of our program. So the MCAT prep, we do have an MCAT prep where we partner with an outside MCAT prep service vendor. It is not incorporated into the program officially, but we partner with them in the sense that our students get big discounts for the in-person instruction. So it's something like 60 to 70% off, something around that mark. So my philosophy is you leave the MCAT prep to the professionals. It is not mandatory, but that's how we handle the MCAT prep. PPA. So for you, Jessica, interested in PA, or who was it? Who was it? Jessica? No, it was Andrea. For PPA, our GRE prep is built in and incorporated into the post-bac program. So that is incorporated. Also, in terms of extracurricular activities, that's something that our students appreciate because we invite a lot of these organizations to come recruit you guys. So it really is almost a turnkey ready type of situation where our students have all the resources and very little excuses to say that they couldn't get involved. So that is another aspect of our program. So yeah, I'm trying to think of something else, other co-curriculars. Research, well, there's research, anybody who wants to get involved with research. Test preps, the trips, advising support, the mock MMIs, the fall semester of that course. So oftentimes you have to talk about learning and talking about motivation. Those are constructs that will be incorporated into the admission process. And so the fall semester of our course 398 is very much like psychology. It's a social / cognitive / educational psychology course. So it's very unique. There's nothing like it comparable out there. But we feel that it really helps our students better prepare. And more importantly, forget what we say, it's what our alums say, that it was tremendously helpful. I believe I saw a hand, and I think we're going to have to wrap it up with this last question. There was a hand somewhere, or was my peripheral vision? fooling me.
That was me.
Hey, Amanda, go for it.
It was. Hi. So I am looking into the PPC program. I have my bachelor's in molecular biology already from UCLA. So I've taken all of the pre-med courses, the medical school prerequisites.
Yep.
But there's definitely some that, or at least one that I need to retake in order to actually be considered as a prerequisite.
Sure.
So is that possible through the PPC program, or is it mostly graduate courses?
Yeah, we're a graduate school. So what I would recommend is you take care of that prerequisite either in the summer before you begin KGI or take care of it afterwards. So yeah, I mean, I know what you're referring to, because there are certain schools where they operate with a hard set prerequisite sort of requirement. So that means you need to do, a certain level or better in order to fulfill that requirement. But to answer your question, no, we don't. But again, I mean, there's so many other moving parts to your candidacy. That's just one part of it. Being at UCLA, and of course, I was there many, many years ago, really, really difficult. I mean, you're talking about classes in Young Hall and these big, huge auditoriums, and just so easy to get lost. Not to mention at UCLA, there's only one person that I know of that really cares about the pre-health student population. And it's just really challenging to have a large school like that. But very cool. Always cool to come across fellow Bruins. I think if we look at our data, UCLA might be our #1 feeder undergrad institution into our PPC program. Although this year we have a lot of UC Riverside. So UC Riverside is gaining. All right, I think that brings us to 3 o'clock, everybody. I want to thank you so much for sharing with us your most precious and valuable resource, which is your time. Thank you to Courtney. You always set up these amazing opportunities for Elba and I to meet with these great students. Thank you. And again, I love how you demonstrated, not just talk about what it means to be a professional, because that's what we do at KGI. Is something goes wrong, I mean, you didn't expect those technical problems, but yet here you are. Thank you so much. Elba, as always, it's great, although working virtually is so weird, but it's always great to see you, albeit virtually. Thank you everyone for coming. Zoom home safe.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.